The night was dark and moonless as I drove my old pickup truck down the winding roads of rural Massachusetts. Rain tapped lightly on my windshield, creating a rhythmic beat that kept me alert. I had been driving for hours, and the thought of a warm bed was becoming irresistible. As I navigated the desolate highway, my headlights caught a figure standing by the roadside. It was a hitchhiker, a sight I hadn't seen in years. Despite the warnings and stories I'd heard about the dangers of picking up strangers, a sense of empathy washed over me. The poor soul must be freezing out there in this weather. I pulled over and rolled down my window. "Need a ride?" I asked. The hitchhiker, a young man in his 20s, approached the truck. He wore a tattered leather jacket and his dark hair was plastered to his face by the rain. He nodded gratefully and climbed into the passenger seat, his clothes dripping onto my worn-out floor mats. "Thanks, man," he said, his voice shaky but polite. "No problem," I replied, feeling a bit uneasy, but trying to push those thoughts aside. "Where are you headed?" "Just a few meals up the road," he replied, avoiding eye contact. As I continued to drive, I attempted to make small talk. His responses were short and guarded. He seemed anxious, but I chalked it up to the awkwardness of the situation. We drove in silence for a while, the rain intensifying. My unease grew with every passing mile. I couldn't help but notice that he kept glancing at me out of the corner of his eye. "So, what brings you out here tonight?" I finally asked, trying to break the tension. He hesitated for a moment, as if deciding how much to reveal. "I'm just trying to get away from something," he replied cryptically. I didn't press further, sensing that he didn't want to share any more information. The road ahead was shrouded in darkness, with nothing but the occasional flicker of my headlights to pierce the black veil. As we continued, my thoughts became increasingly troubled. I had a nagging feeling that something was off about this hitchhiker. Perhaps it was the way he seemed to study me, or the vague, unsettling sense that he was hiding something. Suddenly, he spoke up. "Can you pull over for a moment? I need to use the bathroom." I agreed and pulled onto the shoulder of the road, switching on my hazard lights. The rain pounded relentlessly on the roof of the truck as he opened the passenger door and stepped out. I watched him in the side mirror, feeling a chill creep down my spine. Instead of heading into the woods to relieve himself, the hitchhiker stood by the open door, staring at me with an eerie grin. His eyes were filled with malice, and a wave of terror washed over me. Before I could react, he lunged at me, his hand clutching something sharp. I fought back with all the strength I could muster, but his intentions were clear. He intended to harm me, and the struggle was fierce. Amidst the chaos, I managed to push him away and make a desperate escape from the truck. Rain-soaked and trembling, I ran blindly into the woods, branches slashing at my face and thorns tearing at my clothes. Hours seemed to pass as I stumbled through the wilderness, driven by sheer panic and adrenaline. Finally, I saw the distant glow of headlights on the road. Summoning the last of my strength, I emerged from the woods, waving my arms frantically to flag down a passing car. The driver, a kind-hearted woman, stopped and called the police. They arrived quickly, their sirens piercing the night. They searched the area and found the hitchhiker still lurking in the woods, a deranged look in his eyes. As the police led him away in handcuffs, I couldn't help but wonder what might have happened if I hadn't escaped that truck. The rain had washed away any traces of his true intentions, leaving me to ponder the terrifying reality of picking up a hitchhiker gone wrong in the dark and lonely roads of Massachusetts. From that day forward, I knew I'd never pick up another stranger on the side of the road, no matter how sympathetic I felt. The darkness held secrets that were better left unexplored, and I had narrowly escaped becoming one of its victims.